The New York Knicks are currently having the best season since I have been put on this earth about 20 years ago, okay? At least since I can remember in the NBA, this is the best New York team I have ever seen. Like, up to this point, to say that they are the best Knicks team I've ever seen is actually, like, an extreme understatement. Because, like, up to this point, the most interesting thing I've ever seen, or most impressive thing I've ever seen the Knicks do, is actually probably get bounced in the first round by the Atlanta Hawks, okay? That's probably the most, impressive Knicks team I had seen to this point. And this team greatly, in my opinion, exceeds that team that got bounced in the first round to the Atlanta Hawks. And the reasons I have for that is this is the most talented Knicks team in a very, very long time, as the Knicks currently have both a top 15 offense and a top 15 defense, which is the first time for the New York Knicks since the 1991 through 92 season. And that 1991 through 92 season team, by the way, when they had players on that team like Patrick Ewing, Mark Jackson, Charles Oakley, John Starks, Anthony Mason, Xavier McDaniel, Kiki, I'm not even going to try to say his last name, James Donaldson. And the reason I say all those players is because all of those players that I just mentioned, they were all-stars at least one time in their NBA careers. So if you were keeping track, that is a lot of all-stars on one team. And that was the last time they had both a top 15 offense and defense. And by the way, their head coach was Hall of Fame coach Pat Riley at the time. So although that was before my time, and I don't know all those players I just mentioned, I'm going to be honest, I would say that is a very impressive team for the time due to how many All-Stars, due to the Hall of Fame coach that they had. And the team that they lost to was in a 7-game series against the Michael Jordan-led Chicago Bulls, okay? So that team brought Michael Jordan to 7 games in the second round. So that team, yes, was a very, very talented team, and that was the last time they had the same offensive and defensive success that this current New York team is currently experiencing. Albeit that is extremely impressive in the fact that this is by far one of the most talented teams they've had in a very, very long time now. Let's actually break down what makes up the talent on this roster. And obviously the first player we're going to have to get into is going to be Julius the Caesar Randle himself. Now, Julius Randle has played at an All-NBA level at already one point in his career. He's made All-NBA teams, and he just made his second All-Star game as well this year. And he is still an extremely high-level player, and he might just make an All-NBA team this year. Now, it will be very close. I don't know if he will make it, but there is a very real chance that he could make an argument that he is still an All-NBA level player. So I think for sure Julius Randle is an extremely good player and one of the more underrated guys. Now, yes, he did make an All-Star game, so it's hard to argue he is underrated, but I still don't think he gets the national media credit that he deserves for being able to do what he actually does on the court, and I just think that teams really should respect him more than he probably gets for, and he deserves a little bit more credit than he has gotten for doing what he's done, because he has really helped turn around this Knicks team greatly, because even in the year where they had a disappointing playoff run where they got eliminated in the first round, he was still by far the main reason that team actually was able to make it to the playoffs in the first place. And at the time, that was the first time they had made the playoffs in a while. And then the next player I want to get into is going to be the huge free agent addition, which was Jalen Brunson. Now, Jalen Brunson, I knew he was a very good player with Dallas. I knew he was good. I didn't think he was going to be this good with the New York Knicks, and I don't think many people actually thought that either. But he has been way more than expected. Now, everybody was making fun of them for paying them as much as he did, but he has been worth every penny of that contract. He has played at an all-star level this season 100%, and he has legitimately been one of the league's best guards. I'm pretty sure he's averaging like 23, 24 points per game or something right now. A few assists, a few rebounds on very solid efficiencies as well. And overall, he has just been a huge addition to this team and a huge part to why they have turned around their team just from last year as much as they have. And then RJ Barrett. Now, RJ Barrett, although not having the greatest season, or not the season people probably hoped for him to have, he is still having an extremely solid season, and we know how capable he is. In any given game, he can go off for 30 points. He still has that potential. He flashes it every once in a while, so no telling if he can catch fire. This team could get even better if he's able to consistently go back to that all-star level player we once seen RJ Barrett play at. And now the next player on this roster I want to highlight is going to be Emmanuel Quickley, and I guess one could argue he is quickly became one of the most underrated players in the entire NBA, or at least one of the most underrated guards in the entire NBA. He's actually extremely talented on the offensive end. And yes, that pun was intended if you were wondering, but still he is quickly, I didn't even mean to do it that time, became one of the more underrated guys in the league. He's very talented on offense, and I think overall he's another guy that deserves a lot more credit than he actually gets, and I think he is going to get it if he does perform in the playoffs coming up in just a few months. And now the next person I want to get in for this video is going to be Josh Hart. Now, Josh Hart, they acquired at the trade deadline, and I would like to kind of pat myself on the back because just a few weeks ago when the trade deadline was happening and this trade went down, I said this is one of the more underrated moves that went down in the deadline and no one really talked about it, and I said that I think the Knicks made an absolute great move by getting Josh Hart, and that has really came to fruition, as since they have acquired Josh Hart, for them he is averaging 12 points per game, 1 steal per game, 3 assists per game, 6 rebounds per game on 62% shooting from the three-point line and 62% shooting from the field goal as well. And they also have a combined record of 9-3. So they have been extremely impressive ever since they got Josh Hart, and Josh Hart just really plays with a lot of, well, you could say heart. I'm sorry, that's going to be the last pun I make about one of these players, okay? Mainly because I can't make a joke about Mitchell Robinson or Isaiah Hartenstein. But I'm sorry, the puns are done, okay? The puns are over. But Josh Hart really has just been one of those gritty guys. He fits perfectly with New York's culture. He fits perfectly with how they play. And any team that's trying to win games would love to have a guy like Josh Hart because he does all the dirty stuff. He hustles 24/7. He's going to score when you need him to. He can shoot threes when you need him to. He can play defense when you need him. He can rebound, pass the ball. He can literally do anything you want him to do, and that is just why he is such a valuable player to no matter what team he goes on. And now for Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson is an elite rim protector, and he's also a very, very solid rebounder. Now, yes, he does lack the offensive game. He's kind of one-dimensional on that side, but that's not what they use him for anyway. He's just a very good rim protector, very good paint defender. He rebounds the ball. That's basically what he does, but he's very good at what he does, and he's actually a very solid rotational center for this team. Actually starting center for them, and he is just overall extremely talented. And with all the offensive talent they have in Jalen Brunson, quickly, Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, he really doesn't need to score the ball, and that is exactly why he fits so well with this team. And backing him up is Isaiah Hartenstein off the bench. Isaiah Hartenstein, pretty much the same archetype player, protects the rim, rebounds the ball, doesn't really score that much, and he's actually a great replacement for Mitchell Robinson. They play very similar, so they really don't lose much when one of them have to sub in for the other, so it's kind of the same thing, and it doesn't really mess up the flow or anything. Quentin Grimes is a second-year player, very young guy. He's still helping them out a little bit. He hasn't had an excellent second year, but he's been very solid for sure, and he has helped them win a couple games. And then the last guy I want to touch on is going to be Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin, although probably hasn't lived up to the hype for when they drafted him, and they were trying to trade him at the trade deadline, at least there are rumors about it, he's still one of those guys that when he is on, when he plays, can be very impactful because of his athleticism, because of his ability to shoot the three-point, because he can play defense, because he can do all these things. When he actually does want to come to play, he can be an extremely impactful player. Unfortunately, guys, that's my first video, so comment below. Do you agree with me? Do you think that the New York Knicks are extremely good? Do you think this is the best team in a long time they've had? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you'd like, point the like button, subscribe button, mean the absolute word to me, and I hope you have a blessed day, because I had a blessed day, so you need to have a blessed day. All glory, guys. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah.